It's the real news. I'm Aaron Matek. The House has passed a stopgap funding measure that averts a government shutdown Friday night. But the bill excludes a key issue the Democrats had promised to fight for. After President Trump rescinded DACA, deferred action for childhood arrivals, in September, more than 100 undocumented youths have been losing their status each day. The number will jump to 1,000 a day in March unless Congress acts. Democrats had vowed to risk a shutdown unless Congress took action, but ultimately backed down. Erika Andiola is a DACA recipient and political director for Our Revolution. On Wednesday, she was released from jail after 6 days on hunger strike. She and 7 others were arrested in congressional offices demanding a new DREAM Act. Erika, welcome. Let's start with your response to the passage of this funding bill without the protections that you and so many others had been promised.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, for what I've learned so far is that there was what we've been fighting for and what we've been pushing Democrats to do in the House was done. None of the Democrats actually voted for it, but they did have enough Republicans to do it. 5 Democrats didn't vote, and so I'm glad that happened and that Pelosi was able to deliver that. Of course, I am not excited about the results, but I do know there's still a chance in the Senate for this to happen. And we're really hoping that Senator Schumer follows the leadership of Pelosi or, Speaker Pelosi or former Speaker Pelosi to be able to do this. We have the time. We still have the rest of today. We still have tomorrow for Schumer to whip his own caucus in the Senate to make sure that the DREAM Act is included, as they still need Senate Democrats to vote. Some of them are still needed to be able to pass this spending bill. So we still have hope, and we're still keeping the pressure on Senator Schumer and the rest of the Democratic Party in the Senate to make sure that there's a DREAM Act in the Senate version of the government funding bill.
And what exactly have Democrats promised the Dreamers? It was my understanding that they had vowed to risk a government shutdown unless it was passed, and that they said that they would force a vote.
Well, some Democrats did. And, for us, we have been keeping the pressure on Democrats because we know that they have some leverage. They don't necessarily have the numbers in the House and the Senate. Obviously, they don't have the presidency, but they do have the leverage in terms of how many votes they need. Republicans need to be able to pass the spending bill. And so we have been keeping the pressure, especially on Schumer, because although Senator Elizabeth Warren, Harris, Bernie Sanders, and now there's a couple of others who have come out, pledging to do this, we still haven't had the majority of the Democrats in the Senate pledging this. And especially we haven't had Schumer, who is key right now on making sure he's whipping his party in the Senate to be able to have enough votes to block the spending bill if the DREAM Act is not included in it.
And explain what the reality has been for Dreamers ever since President Trump rescinded DACA in September. That's meant that nobody can apply for renewal, and already that's, as I said, hundreds of people have lost their status. What kind of threats do they live under with DACA no longer being authorized?
Yeah, first off, the reality in our own communities is that people are already losing their DACA. Every day there's undocumented youth who are already losing their work permits, they're already losing their protection. Where we demonstrated with this action when we were in that jail, not giving our names, as a form of protest, what we were demonstrating is that that's actually what happens to the undocumented community every single day. People are picked up in the street, but because of a traffic violation, and they are taken into these jails. They are basically in danger of being deported or detained every single day. And so that's already happening. And, a lot of us haven't lost our DACA, but we are in danger of losing it really soon. And not only that, it's also psychologically, it's just so draining to start thinking about how you're going to be able to protect yourself, how you're going to be able to stay with your family. And it's not, it's a reality that we have to now live with, and that, we are not giving up. For us, it's about understanding that this is a reality, but also understanding that we have still the power to push Congress to do the right thing.
As someone who was undocumented, when you were in jail over these past 6 days, just released on Wednesday, was ICE called to speak to you?
Yes, I was called the very first day, and it was, for me, very disappointing to see that, that was happening. We didn't have to be in that jail. I didn't want to be in that jail. It's a place where nobody wants to be, but it's shameful to see that even though, Senator Schumer and the other Democrats in the Senate were watching, literally undocumented youth being in there saying, like, we're risking everything basically to push you. They still didn't come out. Senator Schumer didn't say anything. He started tweeting about Dreamers. He put a profile picture with, saying, I support Dreamers, but that's not enough. That's not going to protect us. He has the power. He has the ability to move his caucus to the right thing before the end of today or tomorrow to be able to get the DREAM Act in the spending bill in the Senate.
And in terms of Senator Schumer and other Democrats, can you talk about the voting angle here? It seems that they tend to float this call to fight for the Dreamers when they need Latino votes. But then when it comes down to it, as we're seeing right now, we're seeing Democrats say, well, we don't want to risk those so-called moderate Democrats in swing states. We don't want to risk their votes to Republican voters whose support we might be able to win.
But that's been the same issue over and over again. The fact is that people are not going out to vote just because they're against the DREAM Act. That's not the reality. People are waiting for political leaders to actually fight for them, to go out and really say what we need to do in this country, which is, I also came from the Bernie Sanders campaign, and for me it's very important that there's leaders out there that are, supportive of the undocumented community, and they're also saying, you know what, we do need to fight for working class people. We need, leaders who are out there really making sure that we are fighting for people and not necessarily corporations and the wealthiest in this country. That's what voters want to hear. They're not going to go out there and vote against someone just because they supported the DREAM Act. That's not a reality. And so we want, again, Schumer and Democrats to be as courageous as the Dreamers that went into that jail and take that step forward, because they have nothing to lose. They have a lot to gain. And just plain and simple, we're just really tired of being political football for so many years for the Democratic Party, for the Republican Party. This is something that we've been fighting for literally 17 years. I was a little kid when this was introduced, and now I'm a 30-year-old adult who is just really tired of fighting for this bill that has been supported by, the American people and has been bipartisan, and it's just literally, the lack of will from both parties to get it done.
Erika, finally, because DACA doesn't officially expire until March, you have some in Congress from both parties saying that this issue can wait, that it's not urgent that we pass something before the end of the year. What's your response to that?
Well, they probably say that this issue can wait because they don't have kids who could be deported. They say it can wait because they're not in danger of deportation themselves, because they will be with their families this Christmas, because they will be with their families next Christmas. But I don't know if that's going to happen with me. I don't know if that's going to happen with my family members and my friends. And so they have the privilege to say that, but we don't. And so we hope that they have, again, like I said, the courage of these young people. One of an amazing, inspiring young lady who went into the jail with me. She was literally 3 years old when the DREAM Act was introduced. And now she's 20 years old going into that jail as a 20-year-old young woman saying, I have the courage to do this. And these men and women who have run political campaigns on our backs, on our stories, trying to get Latino votes, don't have the courage to stand for us. That's just a shame. It's a shame. And I hope that voters, in Latino districts and places where our communities really care about us when they go vote, I hope that they understand that if they'll stand with us, we'll make sure that those people know about it.
Erika Andiola, DACA recipient, political director of Our Revolution, just released from 6 days in jail on hunger strike, protesting for a new DREAM Act. Erika, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on The Real News.